Can Bitcoin really be worth $13 million? We will take a detailed look at it today, and fact-based without hype, just as you know it here on the channel. In the past, I have also been quite critical of the strategy of strategy or Michael Saylor because I see a significant risk for the entire cosmos there. And then we will also look at what's actually going on there. We have totally bullish news, but nothing is happening on the chart. Why? Why is that, and how should you adjust your trading setup? All that after the intro. Now new UP Trend VIP trading. Your opportunity to copy the signals of 2 professional traders for free. They managed to grow an account from $4,000 to $30,000 within 2 months. The results in the group are also impressive. All you need for this is a deposit of $100 into your BingX account. You can find all further information below in the description. Let's take a quick look at the heat map, and then you might start asking yourself a few questions. Because if we look at the last few days in the news that came out, so we have CPI, KISS, and PPI data for February, which came in weaker. We have overall inflation and core inflation, which declined more than forecasted. Normally, this should trigger a complete explosion. But what happened on the chart? Well, almost nothing. Or rather, there was even a sell-off in reverse. But why was that the case? Well, every bullish impulse is currently being completely shaved off and sold off. And there's a reason for that, because almost every bullish impulse is directly eliminated again by a statement from Trump regarding tariffs and is being slowed down. Now, the discussions are already extensive, and many are talking about the USA, and they will run into a recession. Even on Polymarketer, the bets are already on, and the odds are quite high. Now, I won't delve too deeply into that, as it would go beyond the scope, especially since I've already recorded something on that topic. So, if you're more deeply interested in what the actual plan of Trump is, and I'm not talking about, yes, the drug cartels, they should be curbed, and illegal migration and so on. This is a clear war against the Fed. So, feel free to click into the video here, because one can say here, in the long term, and this sounds totally crazy now, yes. Because currently, of course, everything is going in the opposite direction, and funds are disappearing from the market. Only, what is here? Trump pursues when the Fed is under pressure and lowers the interest rates. Low interest rates, in turn, have a positive impact on crypto, or rather, on all risk assets. And therefore, hopefully, this might finally lead to a turnaround. The only question is, how long will he stretch this topic until we might actually find ourselves in a recession? And we all know how unpredictable Trump can be. Yesterday's announcement, and that once again halted the entire upswing, yes. Trump is now threatening with 200% tariffs on European alcohol, for example, wine from France. And he shared this on his platform Trump Social, as this is the European Union's retaliatory measure for his steel and aluminum tariffs. Yes, hence the call, there will be 200% punitive tariffs on alcoholic beverages from the EU if they do not lift the 50% tariff that the European government imposed on US spirits on Wednesday. Now we will see how things progress. But first, many thanks for the clicks on yesterday's video. Yes, I know it's not always loaded with hype. That will definitely happen. And so on. I have been repeatedly criticized for that. Yes. Then you notice people also say the clicks are decreasing. But I believe those who watch it seriously. So I think that's cool at this point. Yes, we also received 139 likes on it. So many thanks for that. Today, I'm curious to see if we can break the 200 mark. You can simply support me in this. Because if you want to push this video and support my hours of research accordingly, then just leave a free like now. And if you're asking yourself at this point, yes, Daniel, what do you actually do? Here on this channel, you get crypto news. Honestly, fact-based, daily, other transparent, and neutral. Plus a trading setup that might bring you an extra $1 or $2. And if you're interested in that, feel free to leave a free subscription now and activate the bell, so you don't miss any important information. And now we continue. If you've been following my recent videos, here again is the topic of NASDAQ and Bitcoin. I've also placed them side by side, and you can almost overlay the charts So you'll see it again here now. If you're interested in more detail, click in here. In any case, here you have this topic. We at least have a sideways movement for now. So one could now say at this value, so around 19,165, one could roughly say a bottom has at least formed for now. Yes, you can see in this zone there has already been quite a bit of movement before. Now we can only hope that it holds. So we are still, as I've drawn here, clearly in a downtrend. Now there would be a chance that the whole thing might have a positive impulse upwards. If rejection continues here, well, I've already drawn two zones here. One and of them didn't hold until the daily close. The next possible one would be down here. Just briefly on this topic. Yes, news was spread yesterday that Bing could return to the USA. And there are negotiations with the Trump family and so on. Without going too deep into this article, it was revised here. It is absolute nonsense. So, again on this topic, I can only give you the tip, don't believe everything. And now one can say here, it was a reputable media outlet that reported on it. But sometimes they are just wrong too. Before we get to the trading setup, let's move on. Michael Saylor, his forecast and what would result for the USA if these Bitcoin reserves, crypto reserves, whatever they may be, can be implemented. I will not go into the reserves in more detail now, as I have already done so. And I can say once again, everyone who follows my videos sometimes has an unfair advantage. So my research does make sense sometimes. Because this dump that happened due to the executive orders, you could have foreseen it. So, as I said at the beginning, if you don't want to miss anything, feel free to subscribe for free on Soto and activate the bell. But now back to this video. If you want to check it out, feel free to take a look at it here. So basically, the calculation is quite simple because theoretically, Bitcoin would only need to increase by 30% per month to reach 13 million US dollars by the year 2045. Now, one might ask, okay, is something like that realistic? Well, if you take a look at it, yes, it's really crazy. The numbers do add up. There's also a chart for this. Except for the years 2014, 2018, and 2022, the returns were significantly higher than 30% per year. If you continue following Michael Saylor's theory, the annual return will keep decreasing and eventually stabilize around 20%. That is also completely realistic. All XRP fans should pay attention now, because it's clear. The higher it is, the market cap is, the harder it is, of course, to move the price. By the way, this is also the reason why crypto is so heavily manipulated and why this is practically impossible in the stock market, because there is simply much more volume there. So you need much more money to move this market in any direction. As I said, I have already expressed criticism about Michael Saylor regarding the volume in which he buys, as he now holds nearly 2% of the total circulating supply of Bitcoin, and which represents a very speculative bet that could in turn throw the entire cosmos into chaos. If you're interested in this in more depth, feel free to click in here. Now, let's take a closer look at the whole thing. So what argues in favor of these 13 million actually being reached? Well, a growing acceptance logically, with many more companies becoming active, saying yes, they are investing in Bitcoin, which increases demand logically. Limited supply. We have quite clearly 21 million Bitcoins. And then it's over. Then the big question arises, inflation protection. You can really notice that right now. Gold has reached a new all-time high. Why? Because everyone is now afraid of what this penalty box might still lead to. And then people turn to inflation protection, and that, for example, is represented by gold. However, there are also some negative reasons. One of them is regulatory uncertainty. So no one knows. Will there perhaps be stricter laws? So we also see that an executive order is not enough for something like this. And friends, an executive order can also be quickly revoked by the next president. The next topic, market volatility. Okay, I'll set that aside a bit, because the more volume there is, the less volatile the entire market is. And then there's also the technological challenge. Of course, we have scalability issues, security gaps. Maybe, okay, I see security as less of an issue because the network is already built very securely, but the Bitcoin blockchain is definitely not scalable. And now all XRP fans should pay attention because I often address this market cap issue with XRP as well. And this also plays a role with Bitcoin, of course. So currently we have 83K plus or minus where the price stands, and we have a corresponding market cap. Is it even realistic that 13 million can come out of it now? And I have looked into this in detail. For comparison, Bitcoin currently has approximately 1.2 trillion US dollars market cap. Gold is at 14 to 15 trillion, the global stock capital at about 110 trillion, the global real estate market about 340 trillion, and the total wealth of the world at about 500 to 600 trillion US dollars. Now, for the sake of calculation, let's assume that the complete 21 million Bitcoin are already on the market in 13 years. You can see here as well. So the diluted market cap doesn't differ much anymore, as there are already 19.83 million Bitcoin on the market. So if Bitcoin reaches $13 million, we are talking about a $273 trillion market cap. This means in turn that Bitcoin is worth more than all stocks, gold, and almost half of the total global wealth combined. So let's briefly summarize, and I have formulated it this way. In theory, it is of course possible for these $13 million per Bitcoin to be reached. However, we would need radical economic and geopolitical changes for that. For example, if there were hyperinflation of the dollar, then of course the other alternative would be Bitcoin becoming the global reserve currency, essentially replacing the dollar, which I personally find less likely, or the extremely high adoption. So whether it's governments with reserves, banks, and companies, they use Bitcoin worldwide as the primary store of value. And so on and so forth, then that would certainly be possible. Otherwise, I consider it quite unlikely. Feel free to write your thoughts in the comments. And by the way, if you want to always have such news up to date, you can also follow me on X Uptrend Info. Or simply check the description, there's also a link to it. And with that, we now finally come to the trading setup for today. By the way, if you're looking for a cool exchange where you can trade without KYC, you can use FEMX for that. I negotiated this as a special deal. Check the description, there's the link to sign up. And if you deposit $100, you get $25 in your futures account. If you deposit $500, you even get $80. Now let's take a quick look further down and see, yes, my trades are still open. And I want to briefly mention that if you're interested in me providing signals, feel free to write that in the comments. The difference I mean from VIP trading is that I mainly engage in swing trading. This means regarding VIP trading, these are real-time signals, and in the end, you can also get more out of it. But you also have to be at the computer at the time when the news comes in and then set your take profit, etc. Set it, let it run smoothly, and be ready. It works really well too. With swing trading, you need a bit of calm, and it can happen that a position slips into the negative, and that such a position might also be open for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days, or even longer. So as I said, those are the differences. It's definitely more relaxed. You just have to keep adapting. And I can say currently, well, whether it's that relaxed, we'll leave that open to question. Let's start with Bitcoin in the 4-hour view. Oh, what a surprise. What do we see there? Here too, we suddenly have a certain consolidation phase, sideways movement similar to the NASDAQ as I showed you. However, one can still say that we are still trapped in this downtrend. We've just managed to reach the middle line a little bit here. Yes, there's a larger volume block here. Indeed, this could be a somewhat safer haven in quotes. But overall, it doesn't look rosy at all right now. A quick look at the heat map as well. There, one can clearly the market makers have a full chessboard again and can really get started, especially now on the weekend when the institutions are out, because down here it's already lighting up quite a bit. So that means this zone area down here, I can easily imagine it being targeted. Yes, there's still something up here. It might also be easy. Depending on how things proceed, the nod upwards might be taken first. Maybe there will be some fishing here, but As I said, my personal opinion, and we can see if it turns out, is that we will definitely fall below the 80K mark again, because down to here, it's quite attractive. Let's say around 79,000, and even below that, there's still something. And since I once again forgot to rotate my image, I hope you won't hold it against me. Crooked, here now. I've adjusted it in this view. And I don't want to panic you about XRP, but if we look at this now, and this is a very big picture. Yes, there's a bit lying around everywhere, which one could say is attractive. However, what stands out prominently here is this area. So at just about 220, and now again here in the 3-day view. This is actually quite exciting now. Yesterday there were 2 attempts to bring in this volume area, but it didn't happen. It wasn't picked up. Now one might ask, okay, was the resistance really too strong? Or did the market makers do this deliberately because down here, the area has naturally become much stronger, now built up because many people have over-leveraged and started going long here, thinking perhaps, oh, now the bottom is formed. Down there, there's nothing more. So, as I said, I just want to raise a bit of awareness here. Please prepare yourself for the possibility that this zone could still be targeted. I've just left it drawn like this again. This is basically the downtrend that I have drawn. To be fair, let's put this aside for a moment. There has already been a certain trend reversal, one could almost say, however. If we look here, okay, well, this was still a good resistance area here where the rejection upwards is occurring. But overall, looking at it now on the hourly view, you can still leave it drawn like this. So you could say, okay, if it continues downward from this point, we still have lower lows and lower highs. So it remains to be seen. And that's why I've still left this zone area drawn here. What we should take a look at are these roundabout plus or minus $2. If they fall, and if we then sustainably slip below this value here, I can certainly imagine that we could see 1.54. So here you can see it very clearly again in the 4-hour view. Nothing has happened so far. We are trapped in our downtrend here. Here you can see this zone again. I also marked a value here, again yesterday. At least there was a rejection, which wasn't entirely wrong, but now it's time to wait and see. Here we have the next threshold. Will it sustainably continue upwards here, or is it just a fake? And it is now directly rejected, and at the latest, at the red line above, it becomes interesting. Will it continue there, or will it go back down? A final quick look at Ethereum. And there, I really set a limit order exactly in this area, below yesterday. And it was picked up almost on point, is still open, and is moving upwards accordingly. Now it's just a matter of waiting to see if this area here will be targeted. So we are already close, and this is all here. Tasty liquidity. Also, be careful with things like this. There's still quite a bit down here. That's why, for example, I took partial profits. Now you might ask, well, why? Yes, quite simply, it could also go down again here, where I would then reinvest this capital. And then it could continue to rise again. And even there, it doesn't look too rosy on the 4-hour view. So you see here, bam, it's going down. We have a sideways movement like a sea or wind. Yes, there were also those Trump pumps. It goes sideways here, bam, down again. Now consolidation again. I don't want to say it, but it could easily be that we might see this value of 1740 plus or minus again. Still, it's now very much about the impulses. What happens with Bitcoin, or first with the traditional markets? Otherwise, we might see the final breakout from our symmetrical triangle here. And that it all looks anything but rosy with what's happening here right now. And as always, I'm curious about your thoughts now. And please don't write in the comments that I'm so negative. No, I'm not. I'm just evaluating the whole situation based on facts. Otherwise, I'm also curious, are you a Bitcoin maximalist or generally invested in Bitcoin? Invested in saying, yes, the 13 million will come. Or do you also see it more critically? Feel free to write about it in the comments. And if you liked the video, as always, feel free to leave a free like. Finally, I can give you the tip to check out this video. I talk about whether it's realistic that we could see an all-time high for XRP in March. Also fact-based, without hype. Some might not like it, but I find it more important because that way you can protect your assets quite soberly. Otherwise, we'll see each other tomorrow in the next update video. Until then, all the best. Bye.